G as in godly. 7 Steps to Ascension by Yohance Trillion. The Protocol. East Point of View Publishing. Copyright 2020. For my Nia. A lot of us love that gangster shit. But time and time again, gangster prove it's not enough. You need more if you want to survive. At least that's what I thought this was all about anyway. Survival. While there are a few parallels, being G, as in godly, quickly and infinitely separates itself from gangster. If we're to survive, the idea of what a G is must evolve. Table of contents. A. Keep your mouth shut. B. Go in. C. Get the game. D. Guard the FACECARD. E. Watch who you run with. F. Keep the peace/peace. G. Study the master. A. Keep your mouth shut. Real G's don't talk a lot. Anyone who can't keep their mouth shut will never reach G-like status. Keeping one's mouth shut is the first step to ascension, and the whole game hinges upon it. The G is within. In order to be directed by it and ultimately become it, one has to listen. Listening will teach you a lot more than talking. You can't think when you talk, and thinking is the only way you get out this life alive. Achieving the sturdy character a G is made of doesn't require being a mute. It's just that being quiet enables observation, while observation fosters learning. Learning means growing. You must acquire the discipline of sitting back peeping game, and that's going to involve keeping your mouth shut more often than not. Words are about the most powerful force we have at our disposal. They build and destroy like nothing else. When you peel back all the layers, we are living in a world system that is simply an aggregation of the ideas of man. Civilization the world over is merely the ideas of man carried out. Ideas that are expressed in word. Becoming frugal with the currency that is your word will make it increase in value and be a key source of tremendous power. Your inner world is all you really got. Nothing on this planet is more exclusive to you than the thoughts that swim in your head. Sorting through which thoughts deserve expression in the bulk of others that are to remain concealed is a skill to be mastered. Thinking before you speak, turning things over in your mind before you weigh in, is an essential ingredient in the mix of concrete character. Nowadays, people would rather be the first to speak on something than the first to fully know about it. Yo, fucking opinion. Opinions have been given far too much credence and we're starting to drown in them. There's a loud drone of babble that's becoming unbearable, produced by non-listening, constantly talking, self-absorbed fools. Yeah, we all got opinions on certain mundane things like sports, music, this movie sucks, etc. But there are a lot of subjects out here where opinions aren't warranted. G's get in the habit of speaking truth or shutting the fuck up. It's never been cool to talk too much. You'll be hard-pressed to find a time when you said too much and it worked out in your favor. Granted, sometimes one can talk themselves out of a situation. More often than not, we find our mouths getting us into one, often regrettably. You can't put the bullet back in the chamber when the trigger's pulled. Guard that trap of a mouth before it destroys you. Imagine, every word that comes out your mouth is a boomerang, either one or two kinds. The first one's made of foam, the other, razor-sharp steel blades. Every word you throw out, you have to catch. The only saying the matter is you get to choose which kind you throw, if you decide to throw it all. Keep that image in mind when speaking of others. Gossiping, backbiting, and just in general talking bad about people and things always comes back. Keep a lot of your personal business to yourself as well. Sometimes you may need another viewpoint or just sharing things with trusted others. That's cool and all. Just know self-sabotage may be the result. A guarded grill is tempered by knowing exactly when to speak up, loud and clear. A shut mouth provides plenty of time to marinate, and when responses are required, they come out lightning quick and just as brilliant. The swift thinking and insightful comments the result of much reflection. At first glance, some minds might have jumped to the idea this was about not snitching. Nah, keeping your mouth shut deeper than that, although the idea of snitching is abhorrent. Often misconstrued, snitching isn't as elastic as others have made it lately and doesn't need to be stretched to include so many civilian activities. Snitching is simply telling on others to lessen one's own trouble and consequences. It's an act of betrayal and nothing no one with a sturdy character participates in. The ability to be quiet when necessary is the catalyst for developing the deep, rich, interior world needed to navigate this realm successfully while preparing for the next. This protocol follows a certain sequence for a reason. The steps carried out are contingent upon the ones that preceded them. Becoming G, as in godly, and the sturdy character it produces rests squarely upon the foundation of keeping your mouth shut. B, go in. Now that we shut the fuck up for a minute, listen to the G within. All the instructions are going to come from inside. Before you look to the sky, another person, some building, or a book, search within yourself for the indwelling spirit that creates, controls, and upholds the universe of universes and is seeking to find expression through you. The inward, upward journey to becoming G relies heavily on a vehicle we'll call MPW. Meditation, prayer, worship. MPW is a trilogy the mind must enact in order to reach the lofty status we desire. They are separate acts but work best in harmony. The blending of meditation, prayer, and worship in your life produces a vibration of the highest order. Meditation is getting hold of that wild beast of a mind and taming it. Minds can surely run wild, and the only one who can train it is you. Meditation is a way of quieting the inner stream of consciousness and focusing it. It's emptying out what you don't need in your mind, making space for what you do. Methods of meditation may vary, but it's pretty much the consensus. It should be done in a quiet place. The purpose is for inner peace. It's turning the volume down so you can hear the G. It takes practice, practice, and more practice. Prayer is reaching out to the power within. While meditation is a solo act, prayer is a duo. Prayer is a conversation with the Creator/Godfather, who just so happens to indwell us all by way of His Spirit. This Spirit is an individualized fragment of Himself and all His attributes. It's DNA from the other side. It's a cold, cold world. There's so much out of your control. G's call on the Godfather in good times and bad, seeking continuous direction and protection, among other things. They reach out in faith, which is the internal assurance of being acknowledged. Belief is for magic and make-believe. G's don't believe, they know or they don't. Prayer makes tremendous changes for an individual and offers an endless amount of improvement in one's life, from health to wealth. It's not that prayer changes material situations miraculously, although possible in instances. It changes the person praying and helps them in dealing with situations. True prayer is ultimately about changing oneself, not circumstances. Even beyond that, prayer has to reach the level of unselfishness where it's directed outwards towards others in the overall betterment of the world at large. Worship picks up where prayer leaves off. Worship is the outpouring of adoration toward the Godfather just for the sake of it. It's asking for nothing in return. It's blissful devotion to the one who makes all possible. Our struggle for mere survival can get real hectic on this plane. You must carve out that me time for MPW. Try to find quiet places, and when you can, incorporate nature or humbling views like beaches, the mountains, places where you can see the stars at night, and go in. While you're engaged in MPW, you're simultaneously forging a weapon in your mind. This weapon destroys all bullshit on contact. The weapon is called discernment. Discernment is the ability to understand things for what they are, often swiftly. It's a multi-purpose tool/weapon that cuts through, filters, shines a light on, and pokes holes in any subject at hand. All G's are strapped with discernment, and it serves them well in every aspect of life. Going deep within yourself and doing dramatic house cleaning is a necessary step in transforming oneself from a mere man and woman into a G. Search all your inward parts and shine a light on any mess. The meditation removes the clutter. The prayer will disinfect. Worship is the polish. Cleanliness. Godliness. C. Get the game. Game is knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and its useful application. Keeping your mouth shut and going in helps you learn who you are. Now you gotta get some game about yourself. Getting the game is learning the world around you and how to maneuver in it. G's live to soak up game. Game is the voltage to your power tool of a mind. The more you can handle, the more powerfully you'll operate until no task is too big. Like many forms of energy, game is neutral, can be used for good or bad. Adherence of the protocol use it for good, acquiring knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to uplift oneself to be a beacon of light for one's family, community, race, and world at large. You simply won't make it in this day and age without constantly informing yourself. This is a matter of surviving, which should eventually give way to thriving. You aren't born with the game in your toolbox, you gotta go get it. It's to be acquired, and the getting should never cease. G's commit themselves to lifelong learning and place no limit on the sources game can come from. Become a sponge. Open them ears and eyes wide open with that shut mouth and soak it up. Seek the knowledge and wisdom of others on things you want to know more about. Always remain ready to be sprinkled on all types of subjects, spanning science to the streets and everything in between. In this modern day, there are numerous ways to learn thanks to technology. A world of information exists at your fingertips. And yet, with all these technological advances, the importance of reading can never be minimized. It's actually the reading aspect that separates real G's getting as much game as possible from those that pretend to be. Some forms of learning can be passive, but reading requires your involvement. It's active. A screen happens to you, but you make a book or article happen. Your imagination makes a book come alive, and it requires your focus and engagement. This is good for a mind. Reading exercises your interior world. It stretches the mind and strengthens it. Eventually, your mind can pick up more weight, handle heavier topics. It starts to become strong, agile, and fast. The sharpest people out here, those with the most game, read. Great men and women, those who have made monumental achievements, read. Real G's, read. A good portion of getting the game involves shedding the layers of lies we've been covered in since birth. There's a detrimental programming we've all been subject to that comes from what's supposed to be some of our most trusted institutions, like schools, churches, governments, the media, etc. And it's orchestrated by nefarious entities who are looking to remain in their fleeting positions of power. A matrix of misinformation permeates our whole existence, and it's up to you to find truth while armed with your discernment. Game is your one true passport, providing access to every corner of the earth. The more you learn, the more the walls of the world start to crumble in your mind. What was once a maze turns into a wide open arena you have unfettered access to. D. Guard the face card. It's at this stage things start coming together. Your character is being cemented. You've kept your mouth shut, becoming an observer, going deep inside with the NPW, and lapping up game like a salivating dog. A magnetism starts to take place, and a lot of people will be drawn to who you are and steadily becoming. Use this opportunity to be the most solid individual you can be. A good face card is its own currency. Your face card is your name, your reputation, the scent of your character. It can be pleasing or offensive. Only good people can possess good face cards. Time reveals all imposters. G's aspire to have solid reputations that leave lasting legacies which bring honor to the Godfather, so they guard their face card vigorously. Being good people ain't hard to do, despite the apparent shortage of them. The golden rule of treating others how you want to be treated make all the sense in the world, yet we're overrun by flagrant violators. Respect is the G's key factor in dealing with people. Always enter and exit encounters with the utmost respect until the respect is not reciprocated. Respect for people's space, respect for people's time, respect for people's feelings, respect for people's minds. It is the giving and getting of respect that keeps a face card free of blemishes. Getting in the habit of keeping your mouth shut will assist you with one of the more important details in guarding a face card, and that's being a man and woman of your word. The less said, the less you have to commit to. A determining factor in whether somebody 100 or not is that they do what they say they're going to do. Your actions must increasingly shadow your word. Another defining hallmark of sturdy character is being there for people when they need you. Be lavish with your support in all forms to those deserving. It'll be instances when the little you had but was willing to share comes back in the time you couldn't have needed it more. It's a cycle. Real G's face a lot of ups and downs and expect to find yourself in need one day or many. How you treated people in their time of need is going to reach back to you with almost mathematical precision. G's are one-faced. People aren't under any illusions of where they stand with them. But if they fuck with you, you got a real friend. They're a willing ear and somebody who won't pull punches when telling you what you need to hear. The type that can be happy for somebody else's success and achievements with nothing in it for them. They just down. Unselfishness is the true mark of godliness, and this is what a G strives for in daily living. Most importantly, G's ain't perfect. They're striving to be, so when wrong, a G must own it. Who you are and what you do when nobody's looking is a major component of your character. Align your walk with your talk. It's few feelings greater than to look in the mirror and be proud of the man or woman you're becoming. A lot of people can't do that. There's folk out here who can't stomach who they are. Done too many people wrong. They lie, cheat, steal, kill, and get down with all other sorts of ungodliness. Their face card ain't shit. This is not the type of interior world you want to occupy. It's a dark, lonely, fear-ridden place. Just being cool, solid, all around good people will aid you with opening almost any door you desire to walk through. It's because of being cool, circles become penetrated and opportunities present themselves. And people like having you around that put you up on things because people need people. And good people are hard to find. It's been said it's not what you know, but who you know. Then it becomes who knows you. Ultimately, it's who fuck with you tough. And that will be based on your face card remaining intact. E. Watch who you run with. Who you hang tough with will tend to make or break you. There's no real way to stray from the fact you're often nothing more than the company you keep. While you've worked on developing a deep, rich interior life composed of sturdy character. No G is an island. Human beings deal with other human beings. We are social by nature. We come from families, live in communities, go to schools, work on jobs, etc. Every institution imaginable is populated by people. We're going to inevitably deal with people our entire lives. However, after a certain stage in life, the choice is entirely yours on who you're going to fuck with. Your network will help determine your fate. Seek out good people and your discernment will help you with that. When you keep your mouth shut and observe, most people will show you who they are in a matter of time. It's imperative, though, to build and maintain solid relationships with good folk. You need plugs out here, and plenty of them. Real live connections and arenas that can assist in your ascension. A few good friends can't hurt either. Conversely, you can be knee-deep in the clique before you know who you really are, and this can potentially cause trouble down the line. Fucking with the wrong people can easily be one's demise. That's why you gotta be comfortable with yourself before anybody else. You must first be your own best friend in order to ascend. If you live a full life, you'll see a lot of people come and go. What were once unbreakable bonds can dissolve over time as the hardships of life start to pour in. There will be times when you gotta play it low and kick it by yourself, because everything needs to be reevaluated. Not advocating being a loner, but you need to be good with being alone sometimes. Everybody's not cut out for the ascent, that climb towards the top, physically, mentally, and spiritually speaking. You reserve the right to not fuck with certain people. If you're around people who show a pattern of impeding your progress, you must cut them off, with care if possible, reckless abandon if need be. From I wish you the best in life to leave me the fuck alone. G's have to progressively link up with other G's almost to the point of exclusivity. If this protocol is reaching you in your youth, the importance of watching who you run with can't be overstated. The possibilities are boundless for you, but can be curbed or avoided by the company you keep. Your clique can play you out your whole future. While you running all day, you'll eventually lay at night, and who that's with is of the utmost importance. Our intimate relations with the opposite sex are probably the most significant associations one will have because it has some of the biggest ramifications, mainly procreation. The fact man and woman can come together and bring a whole nother life forth is a big deal. It's fucking huge. For this reason, we must be extremely careful with our choosing of mates, making sure to foster relationships that are deep-rooted and bearing much fruit. Fruitless flings based on lust, material, or other base desires will only hinder growth. A G's chosen family should leave him or her beaming with pride because they're ultimately a reflection of themselves. Your circle should make you comfortable, simultaneously providing inspiration, while a golden thread of loyalty runs through it. This is your only life. It can be short or eternal, but don't get duped out of what's due you because of who you hung around. F. Keep the peace/peace. Look at you, out here shining. About G as they come. You know what and what not to say. You're insightful, got plenty game, people know you down, and you clicked up with some real ones. Hold up. Wait. Is that hate? You mean tell me, as thorough as you are, somebody hating on that? Believe it. You will encounter some animosity out here. Some sort of attack or provocation is bound to come your way, and it can spring from individuals to institutions. This is life. You will be tested. You must choose what's worth fighting for, and this does mean to the death. Every battle won't be that serious, but some might. To keep the peace/peace is to pray for the best and prepare for the worst. It's to choose your battles wisely. Avoid the trifling entanglements Prepare for the destined wars. Peace is a great thing. You want absolute peace in your life, for it's the ultimate goal. The kind of peace that emanates from within and enshrouds your entire being. Peace helps you sleep at night, gets you through your day with ease, keeps you feeling and looking young and refreshed. The benefits of peace are endless, and you want to imbibe yourself with it. Having followed the protocol up until this point, maintaining your peace should be easy. You're at a level where conflict doesn't arise often. Staying out the way is what you've essentially accomplished. When you don't talk too much, stay prayed up, lay back and observe people and situations, all sorts of potential troubles diminish. And more than anything, when Anna does arrive, you're on the side of right. The Godfather is backing you. Keeping the peace involves a positive, upright demeanor of assertiveness. It's natural, calm, and belongs there. It's a spiritual standing of ground. Aggression, in a lot of instances, is extra, overly, ultimately springing from insecurity. Constant over-aggression will speed up one's demise. Passiveness is weak and not fit for life. When provocation of any sort comes your way and attempts are made to pierce your peace, it's your duty to defend it at all costs. There's not an organism on this planet with any sense that won't protect itself, and the G is no different. No way should G's allow themselves to be decimated by their spiritual inferiors, because G's need to proliferate on this earth, not die off. Yet, when it comes to determining what moves should be made, emotions can't be the deciding factor. G's are thinkers above all else, and the goal in resolving conflict is purely the restoration of your peace. If you've chosen who you run with wisely and they are indeed good folk, then you have soldiers to go into battle with, while the same may be required of you someday. The key is to keep these battles to a minimum. Choosing your battles wisely doesn't mean going hard on weak targets and ducking strong ones. It's actually the opposite. It's about saving all the fights you have for the things truly worth fighting for. It's a matter of being secure enough in yourself to know what's worth fighting potentially to the death for and what's not. And this regardless of what another motherfucker think. This your life. This ascent to godliness is a strenuous swim upstream. Not only are you going against the overall negative current of the world, you have to wade through many a lane, from individuals to institutions, all out to block you from reaching the portals of paradise. Fortunately, any force adversarial to a G's ascent is ultimately doomed for failure. When all is said and done, a true G can't be defeated, not even by death. G. Study the master. Leading by example will always remain unparalleled. And when learning, there's no substitute for experience. However, until one has gained their own experience in whatever endeavor, the most they can know about it will have to come from someone who went before them. A little more than 2 millennia ago, this planet was graced by the realest of G's who laid out the everlasting blueprint of ascension. All successive G's follow. By far, the most controversial figure the world has ever known, the master teacher, according to sources, came to this world on a mission to show men and women of any generation how to become increasingly godlike by submission to the spirit that lives within. From the days of his youth up through his rugged life of manhood, all the way through a false conviction and capital punishment, the master was a shining example of the infinite potential that accompanies one who has dedicated their life to serving the Godfather. The overarching feature of this life was that it transcended death. As a side, there's much more exhaustive info that exists in reference to the master. This addition to the protocol just serves to highlight some of the steps the master took on his ascent to godliness. All info pertaining to the master in this protocol has been gleaned from the Urantia papers, and readers are encouraged to study his extensive bio in depth for themselves. The master wasn't an adherent of the protocol, more so the author, the one true original godly man. When he spoke, truth tumbled out. No wasted words or regrets of things said. The master was thoughtful of his speech and reserved it for times necessary, all the while becoming the most quoted person in history. No one on the planet is more revered for their word than the master. Going in is an understatement for the interior development the master went through. His MPW game is bar none the most powerful to have taken place on this plane. Often going into the hills or by seaside, the master might disappear for days on end in order to meditate, pray, and worship. It was his consistent practice of going in daily that guided him to becoming the G the world knows of today and accomplishing the most spectacular feats to have transpired in this realm, even the resurrection of the dead. He achieved complete fusion with the spirit in his short life in the flesh. The master soaked up game until it oozed out, as it continues to drip on the world today. His early life was one of acquiring game, from the time he was a little boy who was one continuous question mark, even through a little known period of time in which he traveled known parts of the ancient world to further understand how man lives. He was well versed in the knowledge of his day. He was an avid reader, spoke a few different languages, went through several different vocations, and knew more on spiritual matters than the so-called authorities of his time. His game in connection with the real source of all power infuriated his inferior haters to the point of conspiring for his death and destruction. When it comes to face cards, the master's was blemish-free. His character was like a rare diamond, hard, brilliant, and flawless. He kept it 1 trillion with everybody. His talk and walk were in complete alignment. Whatever he said he would do, he did, even physically dying and resurrecting in a form that was discernible by hundreds of witnesses. A solid friend who was willing to give his last to anybody, including his life, the master was love in action. Although the master was prone to periods of isolation, he handpicked the clique to surround himself with and represent him in his message. These apostles were regular dudes of their day and who the master chose to run with. His apostles and immediate disciples were unswervingly loyal, except for one, whose betrayal came as no surprise to the master. To think, the creator of our universe, incarnated in the flesh, actually had friends he ran with. Peace be upon you was how the master greeted and left you. Peace was a way of life for him. It was this peace which sprang up from within based on knowing the Godfather, just as well as a child knows his earthly parents, that he wanted to impress upon his followers the most. His peace always prevailed. Even in the darkest hours when ensnared by enemies, he was consistently cool and couldn't be pulled out of character. The master's peace, fueled by love, is forever the ideal. Becoming G, as in godly, is an attainable goal to all who set out upon it. It's a worthwhile journey in a world plagued by lames of all sorts. To ascend from the lowly levels of flesh and propel oneself to the heights of paradise off this launching pad of an earth is the one true endeavor worthy of pursuit. It's all love. Peace.